Here are 10 shocking facts about Egypt that will leave you speechless. Did you know that Egypt is home to the only surviving wonder of the ancient world? From eating bread that was so rough, it caused their teeth to wear to Egyptian children, not wearing any clothes until later in life. We're going to cover it all. Ready? Fact 1. If you think bread always comes soft and fluffy, think again. In ancient Egypt, bread was a staple food in almost every meal. However, the bread they consumed was quite different from what we are used to today. The milling process for their bread was not as refined, often leaving behind sand and stone fragments in the flour. This coarse flour was then used to make bread, which had a rough texture and a shiny exterior. Despite its nutty taste, this bread was challenging to chew and would easily get stuck between the teeth. To make matters worse, the sand in the bread would wear down their teeth over time, causing general wear and attrition for many Egyptians. Poor dental hygiene only exacerbated these issues, leading to various oral diseases like caries and periodontitis. Indeed, the Egyptians ate bread that was so rough it caused their teeth to wear away. Fact 2. Did you know that makeup was an essential part of everyday life for ancient Egyptians, regardless of their social status? Makeup held a special significance in ancient Egyptian society, going beyond mere aesthetics. Both men and women of all social classes wore makeup, using it as a symbol of their wealth and status. One of the most popular makeup items was kohl, a grey ore called galena that was used to line the eyes. Additionally, red lipstick made from mixing fat and red ochre was commonly used. They also used henna to stain their fingertips and toes. The Egyptians believed that makeup not only enhanced their appearance, but also had protective qualities. They thought that having makeup on their eyes protected them from the evil eye, and that kohl protected them from various diseases and the harsh glare of the desert sun. Everyone once wore makeup in Egypt, as it was believed to be next to godliness and appeal to the gods. Fact 3. Have you ever wondered why some Egyptian pharaohs, including female rulers, were depicted wearing beards? In ancient Egypt, the wearing of a false beard was a symbol of divine status and a connection to the gods, particularly the god Osiris. This tradition was not exclusive to male pharaohs. Female pharaohs also wore false beards as part of their regal attire. One of the most famous examples is Queen Hatshepsut, who ruled as pharaoh and is often depicted with a false beard. The false beard, typically made of stone or precious metals, was attached to the chin and held in place by being attached to the ears. It was a crucial symbol that distinguished the pharaoh from the common people, emphasizing their divine authority and elevated status. The depiction of female pharaohs wearing false beards was a way to maintain the perception of their divine right to rule and to align themselves with the traditional image of a pharaoh. Fact 4. Did you know that Egyptians believed that the floods of the Nile were caused by the tears of the goddess Isis? In ancient Egyptian mythology, the Nile River held immense significance, not only as a source of life-giving water, but also as a symbol of divine intervention in the natural world. According to legend, the flooding of the Nile was attributed to the tears of the goddess Isis, who wept for her husband Osiris. Osiris, the god of the afterlife and rebirth, was murdered by his brother Seth, causing great grief to Isis. In her sorrow, Isis's tears fell into the river, symbolizing her mourning and devotion to her husband. These tears were believed to trigger the annual inundation of the Nile, which was crucial for the fertility of the land and the success of agricultural endeavors. The flooding of the Nile brought nutrient-rich silt to the riverbanks, replenishing the soil and ensuring abundant harvests for the Egyptian people. Thus, the annual flood was not only a natural phenomenon, but also a divine blessing bestowed by Isis, the goddess of fertility and magic. Fact 5. So, what was the deal with cats and ancient Egypt? Cats held a revered status in ancient Egyptian society, symbolizing divinity, protection, and fertility. They were cherished for their companionship and practical role in controlling pests like mice and rats. Beyond their usefulness, cats were associated with several deities in Egyptian mythology, including Bastet, the goddess of home, fertility, and protection, who was often depicted with the head of a lioness or a domestic cat. These feline associations highlighted the spiritual and symbolic significance of cats in ancient Egyptian culture. The ancient Egyptians believed that cats possessed qualities that reflected the traits of their divine counterparts, such as being protective, loyal, nurturing, and independent. This deep reverence for cats extended to their worship and association with gods and goddesses, making them an integral part of daily life and religious practices in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egyptians were the biggest fans of cats. Fact 6. Would you be willing to try out a beauty secret involving sour milk? Cleopatra's renowned beauty regimen reportedly included bathing in sour donkey's milk, believed to have exfoliating and rejuvenating properties because of its lactic acid content. Lactic acid is known to dissolve the proteins that hold dead skin cells together, promoting smoother and more youthful-looking skin. While Cleopatra is the most famous figure associated with this beauty practice, historical records suggest that other prominent figures, such as Poapia, Queen Catherine Parr, and Elizabeth Brabham of England, also indulged in milk baths for their skin benefits. Egyptians bathed in sour milk. Fact 7. What if moldy bread has a place aside from inside the trash? In ancient Egypt, moldy bread was considered a valuable remedy for treating wounds thanks to its antibiotic properties. The mold present in the bread was thought to have healing effects, helping to prevent infections and promote faster healing when applied directly to wounds. This practice was part of a broader array of natural remedies used by ancient Egyptians for disinfecting wounds, which also included honey, onions, natron, salt, oils, and ointments. These natural ingredients were relied upon for their effectiveness in disinfecting wounds and preventing infections, showcasing the innovative use of everyday items for medicinal purposes in ancient Egyptian society. Fact 8. Ever heard of the Pharaoh's curse associated with King Tutankhamun's tomb? The Pharaoh's curse is a belief that those who disturb the tomb of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, particularly King Tutankhamun's tomb, will suffer bad luck, illness, or even death. This superstition gained popularity after the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, as several individuals associated with the tomb's excavation died under mysterious circumstances shortly thereafter. The most notable death was that of Lord Carnarvon, the tomb's financier, who died of blood poisoning shortly after the tomb's discovery. Despite skepticism and the argument that the deaths were coincidental or due to natural causes, the legend of the Pharaoh's curse persists, adding a layer of mystery and intrigue to the story of King Tutankhamun's tomb. Fact 9. Did you know that both adults and children in ancient Egypt drank beer? Beer was not only enjoyed for its intoxicating effects, but also valued for its nutritional content, which included essential B vitamins and amino acids. In fact, beer was so integral to daily life that wages were sometimes paid in beer, and workers received it as part of their daily rations. Made from barley and flavored with ingredients like dates or extra yeast, Egyptian beer was thick, sweet, and nutritious, providing sustenance in addition to refreshment. The brewing process likely involved crumbling bread into water and allowing it to ferment. This process would have converted the bread starches into sugars, which could then be fermented by yeast to produce alcohol. Flavorings like dates or extra yeast may have been added to the mixture to enhance its taste. Fact 10. Can children survive without clothes for the first few years of their lives? In ancient Egyptian society, children did not wear clothing until they reached the age of 6. Instead, they adorned themselves with jewelry, such as anklets, bracelets, collars, and hair accessories. This practice was a cultural norm and likely stemmed from practical considerations, as clothing may have been unnecessary or uncomfortable in the dry heat of the environment. Upon reaching 6 years of age, children were allowed to wear clothing to protect them from the elements. The lack of clothing for young children was not seen as inappropriate or unusual in ancient Egyptian society. Instead, it was a widely accepted practice that reflected the cultural values and beliefs of the time. Children were cared for and protected by their families and communities, and clothing was not deemed necessary until a certain age. And with that said, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, surely you'll love this video about another interesting country.